Hello! Alright, man, shout out to a longtime fan of the channel, The Guy 1337. He's suggested some other videos in the past, like that intestine ballism video I did. He asked me like 2 or 3 months ago to do a video sharing my thoughts on the Entombed discography. So I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna do it. Honestly, man, like I'm not the biggest like overall Entombed fan in the world. I'd never listened to a whole record after Wolverine Blue, so this was kind of an interesting assignment for me. Obviously, like the term death and roll is tossed around a lot when it comes to Entombed, but like listen to their discography, it reaches a point where it's not so much death, it's just the in roll part. Like, it's kind of just like hard rock music to me. Like some of their stuff actually kind of surprised me. It kind of just sounds like an angrier version of like stoner rock or Helmet or something, and I don't know what the Entombed guys were listening to or what they were actually inspired to, but you'll occasionally have these almost like Melvins or the Obsessed sounding like riffs and song structures, and like I actually enjoy those bands, but like I don't think Entombed were really the best at that style. Like I hate to sound like a dick, but like most bands that started off death metal and tried to play other stuff just like weren't as good at it as the bands that were already playing that type of music, like when they just decided to like switch genres and stuff, particularly with this kind of excuse me, kind of like groovy hard rock type of style that pops up after Wolverine Blues, man. Like listen to their records. I was kind of surprised, because some stuff was better than I thought it'd be, and then some stuff was worse than I thought it would be, so that's weird. Now, like, if you're watching my channel, if you found this video, like, you've probably already heard, like, the Nihilist demos. Those are awesome. Left Hand Path. So I'm not even really going to spend any time talking about those. I do have a very unpopular opinion. I've never been a big fan of Clandestine. I would give it like a 3 out of 5. I don't like Nicky Anderson's vocals, really, man. I mean, that's probably why I'm not into his other band, the Helicopters or whatever. I remember hearing them on the Tony Hawk's Underground soundtrack, man. And that was, I was a kid. That was before I knew about death metal, but like I forgot Nick Anderson was even in that band. And I was listening to these like Entombed records. I kept thinking about Tony Hawk's Underground. Like I was picturing myself, my character like skateboarding and shit. And then I put it together. I was like, oh, that's why, but like honestly, man, like, I don't even like, I mean, don't get me wrong, Left Hand Path is great, but I don't seem to like it as much as most death metal fans. Like I'm not disputing its classic status. But I do like it more than the first Grave album. I like it more than the first Unleashed album. But I think the first Dismember record's a lot better. In fact, Dismember is my favorite of the so-called Big Four of Swedish death metal, which, I mean, that's not a phrase I'd normally use, but I know people on the internet make a big deal about like Big Four thrash, Big Four grunge, Big Four mac and cheese brands. I mean, people online are just like obsessed with grouping things into Big Fours. And, like I said, like don't get me wrong, Left Hand Path is like badass. It's only Entombed CD I actually own, but I see people saying that it's like the greatest death metal record ever, and to me, I just I wish I could enjoy it that much, but I'd probably give it like probably a 4 out of 5, which is like an 8 out of 10, maybe 8.5 out of 10. I don't know. Really like it, but it's not like a perfect 10 to me, if that makes sense. Sorry, I know that's a bummer for people because I mean, hell, I see people on the internet getting fucking tattoos of this shit, and I'm like, damn, I not getting a tattoo of it. I'll say that. When you look at like Wolverine Blues and the albums afterwards, man, like you'll hear good riffs here and there and some catchy parts, but there's just something that turns me off. Like these are not the worst albums ever, like a lot of death metal fans would have you believe. And there's also a strong contingent of the death metal fan base that loves all these records and defends them, but I'm kind of just like very unmoved by it all, like I'm not screaming with rage, but I'm also not like, wow, this is amazing, like I know some dudes who aren't into death metal at all, and they hate the so-called Cookie Monster vocals, but they love the, you know, later era Entombed stuff. Like I said, you can hear some of that kind of like stoner rocky, groovy, doomish songwriting, but I just don't think I don't think Entombed were like particularly good at that style of songwriting, man. You know, like I said before, I do actually enjoy the Melvins and the Obsessed, but like those bands were kind of born to write music like that, whereas like a lot of the Entombed discography, to me at least, man, you might think I'm crazy, kind of sounds like they listened to like that Melvins record, Stoner Witch, and just decided to try to write riffs like that, you know, or maybe Houdini, you know, one of those. So I'm not going to go like album by album, track by track or anything. This is more of just like my general thoughts on the band. I hate to disappoint the guy 1337 because he's a very cool guy, but, you know, he's who asked for the video, but it would just kind of be boring to listen to me say the same thing over and over about all these records. I did think it was interesting that their 2007 record, Serpent Saints, was like kind of trying to put more of the death back into the in-roll part, you know, like LG Petrov, like he brings back kind of like a raspier vocal style on that one, but it just kind of sounds like just half-assed going through the motions. I wish I liked it all more than I do because, like, you know, it's fun being like a contrarian and stuff, and I mean, you know, you can piss off a bunch of metalheads just by saying that you love, like, Spheres by Pestilence, you know, which I do. I think that record is awesome. But, you know, I'm probably a bigger nerd than your average, like, caveman death metal guy, you know. But when it comes to Entombed, man, I just couldn't really find, like, a real hidden gem in the catalog. You know, I mean, it's not, like, offensively bad shit. The shittiest one... it's probably Same Difference from '98. That's pretty bad. But I mean, Uprising, Morningstar, and Inferno also have some contenders to the turd throne, I guess you could say. You know, but I'll say this, man. It's not like that fucking Massacre album, Promise or The Promise, whatever it's called. It's like that mid-'90s Massacre album that like Cam Lee wants to forget about. I don't think Entombed ever wrote anything that bad. But just like the general style of the post Wolverine Blues albums just doesn't really jive with me, or at least like Entombed's interpretation of that particular sound. Like if you're someone watching this who is unfamiliar with Entombed, and like if you're into like stoner rock, hard rock, stuff like that, and you're not a big death metal fan, I would say you might actually love all the stuff after Clandestine, you know. So I mean, I'm not telling anyone what to think or anything like that. Part of me was actually hoping some of the music would be more like humorously bad, so I could like make fun of it. But I can't even really think of any jokes, you know. I mean, here's something interesting though. You know, it's worth noting, like the band Convults from Finland. You know, everyone thinks about World Without God because it's awesome, and most people forget that they even have records after that. But, you know, that band have kind of been doing, like, the same type of groovy stoner thing with their records, you know, after World Without God. But, like, they're not giving as much shit from metalheads because, like, they're not as famous as Entombed, you know, whereas, like, Entombed in the death metal world, it's like, people, especially when you talk to older dudes, it's like they feel that betrayal still. It's like fucking a fresh wound, you know. It's like bringing up like a bad breakup or something. So anyway, man, sorry this video is not more detailed or in depth. You know, if you love all the Entombed stuff, I respect your opinion, blah blah blah. But that's pretty much all I got to say, man. When I'm in a Entombed mood, you know, I'm probably just going to keep listening to Left Hand Path and the Nihilist demos, which that's a CD I need. I need to get that collection, man. But I actually don't have it yet. It's a hole in my collection. Yeah, I'm a poser. Anyway, thanks for watching, man. And feel free to suggest more, you know, band thoughts, discography breakdown type videos, that sort of thing, man. So I think next on the list, a guy named High Tech Nomad wants me to do the Deicide discography, so I'll get around to that. And some guy wants me to do Aerosmith. I'm not a big Aerosmith fan, so I'll figure something out. Thanks for watching, man.